Okay, so we have our AutoCAD loaded here, and we have our site plan, and here's our what's it called, the
Boundary.
property boundary. There we go. And here's our contours, and so the profile we're going to draw above it. All right, and here's our instructions. The footprint of our flat pad for our building is going to be 50 feet by 40 feet. We want to approximately balance cut and fill. Now in this class, we are not actually calculating cut and fill. So we're kind of by eye, basically, on how many contours you have to move. All right, so that's what we're aiming for. We're not trying to calculate those cubic yards of earth. All right.
All right.
So our goal slope is no more than 1 in 3. And all grading has to be done within the property lines. That's important, right? And we can't use retaining walls.
Yeah, I went
So
outside property line.
yes, well, the problem with that is that you don't own the property outside these boundaries, right? So your neighbor's going to come sue you if you if you move any dirt outside their outside your properties. So you got to think about that. I only own this square, right? I can't touch my neighbor's square. So all right, so the first thing I'm going to do, let's see, let's check the layers here. I've got base drawing and modified grading. So all my new stuff I want to be on modified grading. I'm going to change colors just so I know. All right, so I'm going to draw my footprint. I'm going to draw a rectangle, and it's going to be 50 feet, 40 feet. All right, so there's our building or our flat pad. And we can move it wherever we like. All right, so they told us, and I've got my ortho on, let's turn the ortho off. They told us that we don't have any restrictions, no setbacks, no easements. We can put it anywhere on this site. All right, just that we mostly want to balance cut and fill. All right, so I'm gonna look at these contours. Let me move my building out of the way for a sec, and pick, I want kind of a even, gentle slope. All right, so what area of my property should I pick?
I'd say probably down there, because there's not that much contours like together and steep hills.
Yeah, I'm thinking right around here. So let's go ahead and do that.
Okay. Yeah, right there, around that area.
But then we do have some of the steepest slope on the site right there. All right, but you know what? We're going to try this and see how it works. All right, and we may end up needing to move the building and try again, just so you know. Okay, so once we have this spot, then we need to start calculating. And with a slope of 1 in 3, all right, we need to find out where to move our contour lines. Let's decide what our the height, the finished elevation of this square should be. We're kind of crossing 94, 96, 98. Looks like contour interval is every 2 feet. So given that, where would you set your finished elevation?
I'd probably go like 96.5 or something.
You know what? I was going to say about the same thing. What do you think, James? Let's try that.
I was wondering, couldn't you move the whole structure, the flat pad, back to where 94 is, and then you would only have like, if you put it up high in the top left corner, you only have like one contour going all the way through it.
So James wants us to move the building up in here. All right. That's probably valid also.
Yeah, but then the cut, that'll be outside the property, wouldn't it? If we moved it up in that corner?
No, the property boundary is this line.
Okay, yeah.
It'd still be in there. All right, we're going to try this one, and then we might try another option. All right. Or James, you could try it in your when you do this exercise.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So if we have, and let me just put a text. If this is 96.5, all right, finished elevation of 96.5. Okay. Then let's talk about moving some contours. We would take this 96 contour, All right.
Mhm.
And which direction would it move? Would we move it towards the downhill or towards the uphill side of a finished elevation of 96.5?
Probably towards the up.
We're going to move it downhill because it's
Towards the
lower.
down.
So if
Down
our
'cause it's lower.
finished elevation is 96.5, the 96 contour is lower, and
Lower,
so it's
okay.
going to be downhill.
All right.
Right. So if I just in our Zoom meeting here, show it, what we're aiming for is the 96 contour to do something like this. All right, just by eye, that's what we're aiming for.
Okay.
Okay. Let me clear that. Now let's talk numbers. All right. And if our finished elevation is 96.5, our
Mhm.
slope is 1 in 3. How far away should that 96 contour line be from our building flat pad?
3 feet.
It's going to be 1.5 feet because the distance in
Oh.
elevation is only half a foot.
Oh, it's only half a foot.
It's only half a foot.
Okay.
Mhm.
You write that
So-
down so I forget.
Yeah.
That's
And
important
you
information.
you can do that with the S equals V over H calculation, right? So if S equals vertical distance over horizontal distance, and by the way, did you guys realize this is the same slope equals rise over run
Right, yeah, it's the
calculation that
same.
you know from high school math, right?
Yeah, I
So
noticed that when we were learning it.
yeah, you're like, oh wait, I know this one.
I feel like
I
this
learned
way is
something in
less
high school.
confusing because R over R can confuse you sometimes. You forget which one's rise.
Oh,
which one's
rise
run.
over run. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this
Okay.
one's easier.
Maybe that's why they did it. So if our slope is 1 in 3, Ivan, 1 in 3, and then our vertical distance is half a foot. And you can even, if that wasn't immediately obvious, which it is, it's immediately obvious. You can actually do that by calculating. You can say our elevation is 96.5, right? Minus the contour that we're actually trying to draw right now, which is 96,
96.
right? And we know that that's half a foot, all right? And then that is over the H, the height that we're trying to, sorry, not the height, the horizontal distance, that keeps tripping me up, the horizontal distance that we're trying to calculate, all right? So if you need to calculate it, you need to use the formula and plug this in. Okay. Once you have this formula, you can cross multiply, right? You can multiply both sides by H and multiply both sides by 3, and you end up with H equals, oh, I don't know why I did 2 lines there. I guess I was trying to draw an equals, 3 times 0.5, right? Which we all know is 1.5 feet.
Okay, that makes sense.
Here you go. Okay, so I drew all that in our Zoom here. So let me go back to our AutoCAD. Now, the amazing thing about AutoCAD is, check it out. You can offset this square by 1.5 feet. So I'm going to use the O command, offset, and do 1.5 feet, enter. And I'm going to do that.
Wow, you're too good at this.
I know, that's easy, huh? Okay, so knowing this, what we're trying to do, remember intuitively, what we're trying to do is draw the 96 contour line.
Okay.
All right, so you can either trim away this half that we don't need, all right, and then it goes like this, or you can trace it with a polyline from this intersection over here, over here, over here, and you're done. And then I'm going to erase the one that was just like a guideline, okay?
Okay.
So check it out, 96, this was the old one, and it went through our building. This is the new one. This is the modified contour line. It's going to come this way, it's going to come this way, it's going to come that way, and be done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
you also can do it a little bit more fluidly, a little bit more organically, if you like. And the way we would do that, I'm zooming in here, all right, is to create a spline, all right? And we want it from right about here. I'm going to snap from near here, all right? I'm going to turn off my other O snaps because they're getting me. Maybe to here, to here, right? Something like this. Right? So if we wanted to make it a little bit more organic, a little bit more curvy, you can do that. All right, but you never get closer than 1.5 feet. So, and in fact, I think I would do something like.
Yeah, that's probably the way I'd do it, to be honest. The line.
Yeah, and I might put a couple more. How do you put another vertex in there? Spline, add fit point, like right here. Right there, I said. All right. If I wanted a couple, anyway, so you could mess with this curve if you like to.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
or you could leave it square.
Just
right?
square. Like
that is a valid way to do it. It's actually the least expensive. It's the least amount of earth moved, right? But it's not really the way that earth really likes to be formed, right? And so it won't look as organic in your final version.
Okay.
All right.
That makes sense.
I'm going to turn this one off. I'm going to move it to layer 0 and then like turn 0 off. Okay. All right. So now we have our building and we have a 96 contour line, but look, I'm sorry, I'm zooming. Look at this. It crosses the 94 contour line. 96 is crossing 94. We can't have that. Right. So what are we going to do? We're going to modify the 94 contour line. We're going to fill in some area here. And intuitively, we know that it's going to do something like this, right?
Yeah, to fill, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's, oops, I cleared my other calculation. Okay, I didn't mean to, but that's okay. So now let's calculate how far away from the new 96 contour line the 94 contour line has to go. All right, and we can calculate it. S equals V over H. Our slope is 1/3. What's our vertical distance between the 96 contour line and the 94 contour line?
2
feet, yes. 2 feet. That's important. And so here's our equation. 1/3 equals 2 over H. All right. I'm going to cross multiply and I'm going to get H equals 2 times 3, right? Is 6 feet. So what does all these numbers mean? It means that the modified 94 contour line, sorry, not the contour feet, needs to be at least 6 feet away from the new modified 96 contour line in order to get that 1/3 slope, which is the steepest that we want. Okay. Here in AutoCAD, that's really easy to do. Let me get, there we go. And so I'm going to offset 6 feet. This new modified contour line, 6 feet. Check it out. And then I'm going to trim because we don't need this little piece right there. I'm going to use trim command. And I don't need that piece. And I don't need that piece. And that one I need to go away. There you go. Okay. So your new 94 contour line does this. And then it turns and it goes this way and goes here and goes like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Too
Okay.
Easy.
It's easier than you were thinking. Yeah, Ivan, you like moved every contour line on the site. You're like, we're just like raising this. We're just gonna completely redo this site.
Yeah.
I made it harder than it was. It's possible, but it's very expensive. Right? Okay, but we're not done, right? Because that was the fill side. That was the downhill side of our site. Let's talk about the uphill side. And Ivan, I want you to tell me what to do with this 98 contour line. What should we do with it?
Probably move it up.
Uphill, yeah. And so that means we're cutting if we do that. If we move a contour uphill, we're cutting. If we move it downhill, we're filling. Excellent. And how far should we move it uphill, remembering that our finished elevation is 96.5?
Half a foot.
Are you sure?
No. 2
Okay,
foot.
let's do the S equals V over H calculation.
Okay.
All right. And in this case, what is the V? What's the vertical distance between 96.5 and 98?
Wouldn't it be 2 foot?
Between 96.5 and 98?
98, 96, 97, 98. 2.5?
It's
Not
1.5.
too much.
1.5.
1.5. Oh, yeah, 1.5, not 2.5.
Okay, so let's do our little calculation. S equals V over H. So 1/3, that was given. All right, you know that.
Yeah.
Equals our vertical. And so you just calculate our vertical. And what you did was take the 98, all right, take away the 96.5.
And that gives you 1.5.
That was your 1.5. Yeah. And then we have that over H, right? Cross multiply, you end up with H equals 3 times 1.5. I think that's 4.5, right? Check my math.
Yeah, 4.5.
Yep. Okay, so here back in AutoCAD, we what we're looking for is a line 4.5 feet. Remember, all of this calculation was in feet, right? 4.5 feet away from our building. Luckily, we have this lovely offset command. All right, so O enters, and then 4.5 feet. All right, and I'm going to offset that one. Okay. Now, what part of this do we need? We need the part that covers or that intersects the 98 contour line. So I'm going to use the trim command and get rid of all the rest of this. We don't need this. And then there was a little bit of, see how that part was extra too.
Yeah.
All right. Oops, looks like I need a little bit more trim. TR this piece. All right. So our 98 contour now does this and turns and does this.
Right, because of fill.
Yep. Actually, this is cut. We're going uphill, so this is cutting. We're cutting in the uphill side, yeah. All right, so there's one more check, and we need to know between our 98 and our 100, do we have enough space here, or is this too steep of a slope right now? And so how far should the 98 contour line be, the new modified 98 contour line be? How far should that be away from the 100 contour line? You've already done that calculation earlier. What was the answer between a 2 foot interval in height?
Would it be half a foot?
It would be 6 feet.
Oh yeah, it does. 6 feet. That's the other side.
Yep.
So what happens if it wasn't 6 feet? I'd have to move that, or what?
Let's take a look. I'm going to use the offset command and make sure that that is 6 feet. Oops, not 6 feet away. I think it's not. Look, it's not quite. All right, let me zoom in so we can see that closer, okay? Here we go. Uh-oh, we actually need to modify our 100 contour line just a little bit, yeah, right? Not very much, just a little bit. So I'm going to use the trim command. I'm going to get rid of this piece and that piece, this little extra. Was there any extra? No, that was it. And know that we just need to take a little, just a little snip off of that, a little bit of modification. All right. Let me zoom out. Let's take a look at the site as a whole. All right. Now we know this is our flat pad at 96.5. Mm-hmm. Our 96 contour line had to move downhill, all right, because it's lower than the 96.5 elevation, right? And so we are doing a little bit of fill in that way, and we calculated how far away that fill needs to extend from our building. We calculated that distance as 1.5 feet. Yeah. Right. All right. Then we wanted to know about contour line 94. All right. We were a little bit worried about it because it crossed. Contour lines do not cross. They never do. All right. And so we calculated the distance between the 96 height and the 94 height and how far apart these two contour lines should be. And then we modified the 94. All right. So it now goes like this.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we moved uphill. Uphill direction you need to cut. All right. So 98 is uphill or higher than 96.5. So we know that it needs to go on the uphill side of our flat pad, and we're going to have to cut. And so we calculated the distance between the vertical distance between 96.5 and 98. Right. That was 1.5 feet.
Mhm.
That gave us how far away that contour line needed to be away from our flat pad. All right. And so this is the needed modification for 98. Right. Now, if
Right.
you wanted to, by the way, if you wanted to make this a smoother curve, you totally could.
Okay.
All right. And we could do that by doing something like this. Right. Because that would be
Yeah.
a smoother curve. But notice that it never comes closer than that 4.5 feet. Right. I'm gonna.
But either way is acceptable, right? Whether
Either
you
way
do
is
it-
acceptable.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Then once we had this 98 contour line, all right,
Mhm.
we were a little worried because it got kind of close to that 100 contour line. So we had to
Yeah,
double check.
very
We had to
close.
double check. All right. And to make sure we know that they need to be 6 feet apart in order to get that 1 in 3 slope. All right.
Mhm.
And so we found that actually we need to modify the 100 a little bit. All right. Now take a look. Did we in fact balance cut and fill? All right. We have quite a bit of fill here, but it's only half a foot in
Yeah,
height.
it's a little bit.
All right. And we have some fill here. And then on this side, we have a modest amount of cut and just the tiniest little bit over here. I think we're pretty balanced with the cut and fill. All right. I wouldn't expect you to try to move your building and try this exercise again if you were this balanced with the cut and fill. All right.
Okay.